Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Torchtales, Stories Behind the Hood. You guessed it, one more episode, one more guest, because that's what we do here in Torchtales. Today, I'm so honored to have Kym Calabretta.
Hi.
All right, and she's with Cala's Manufacturing. And one of the reasons why I'm so excited is because this industry allows us to meet people that sometimes you see them walking the floor, you see them at some point, and then you quite don't know much about them. And then this is what Torchtales is all about. Not only to learn what they do, but also where they come from and how come they're in the welding industry. Kym, thank you so much for saying yes again.
Thanks for having me.
And so I mentioned you're with Cala's Manufacturing, and we are going to touch on what they do, what you guys do, and what you do for them.
Sure.
But before we do all that, that's icing on the cake. We want to get to know Kym.
Okay.
Where are you from, Kym?
I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so I haven't made it very far. If I have the right shoes on, I can run past the house I was born at. So
Oh, really?
Just a couple miles away. Yeah.
Wow. So was that always your decision to stay around, or that just life happened and this is where we are?
I think kind of life happened, but I always knew, growing up, you may have some friends who say, "Oh, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to head west or head south." And even as a kid growing up, I was like, "This seems like a pretty nice place. Like, I don't have any issues, to have a family." So I don't know that it was completely intentional or not, but it's just how it evolved.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And now growing up there as a kid, what were you into? Middle school and high school, did something change from middle to high school, or it was always consistent with what you wanted to do, what you were into?
Yeah, I think most things with me are pretty consistent.
Okay.
And the funny thing is also, I've raised my kids, they're all going to the schools I went to.
All right, so hold on, how many kids you have?
Four. So 4 kids.
Whoa.
Yeah. 4 kids in 5 years.
Cool.
Boy, girl, boy, girl.
4 and 5? All right, so you were busy. Yeah.
Yep. And I did work the whole time.
Gotcha.
The whole time I had kids, but it has been nice being in the community, in the school district. I grew up. It feels familiar.
Gotcha.
And my youth was really driven a lot with sports.
Really? What kind of sports?
So
Except from running, because I know that you still run a lot. Yeah.
As recent as today.
I know, she was just running. In fact, she ran here, yeah.
But field hockey, I played since 4th grade, and then I competed in that through college.
Okay.
So that's what took me to Penn State.
Oh, really? So you got a scholarship?
I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I did that all 4 years while I was there. I ran track at Hempfield and did some other things when I was young along the way. But my kids are all very active in sports.
Good.
They do different ones than I did, which I enjoy because
I know.
Getting to learn different things. So I'm going here to a volleyball tournament. My boys both play basketball.
So are you one of those sports mom? Like, you are
everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Right? With 4.
Yeah, all the time. And then as history repeats itself, I have a son. My oldest is a freshman at Penn State, and my daughter is graduating high school and headed there.
That's got to feel pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially, probably are even some of the teachers that are still around that you remember now?
I mean, definitely in their middle school and high school.
Yeah.
At Penn State, like the coaches I had are still there, so I can connect with them when I go up. And I have some circles in that network as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. Congratulations on having 4 kids, kind of following somewhat, the same steps. That's always feels awesome. Now, so playing sports in high school and then college, of course. At the end of when college is ending and, real life, it's knocking around the corner, right? What was your thought? What were you thinking of doing at that moment?
Well, it's definitely, I loved Penn State, but when you take the path of being, a D1 athlete, they kind of own you. So it's a very intense.
Now we're dropping, digits here. D1.
Yeah. Well, it's just intense, and so I'm very grateful for what the program did for me. But I was definitely ready to kind of enter the workforce. And I'm also the youngest of 4, and I had a sister that was already working at Armstrong World Industries.
Okay.
Which is headquartered and based out of my hometown.
And you were doing marketing for them or something?
I started
like
in
that?
sales, actually.
Okay.
But I think you said about, did I think I'd end up in Lancaster or staying around?
Yeah.
And I'd always thought with Armstrong, maybe I'd have the opportunity, I could get a sales job and move away.
I see.
But then if I came back to headquarters, it'd be home. So I did have that kind of in my head. And that's basically what occurred. My first sales territory was Virginia.
Really? So here you are, early 20s, I'm assuming, and you are doing sales, which is pretty much what we all do nowadays anyway, so full circle, right? what was that experience being in sales store early on versus knowing what sales is supposed to be like nowadays?
Yeah, it was different, and it was they went to a different hiring model when I was hired, and I was the only one hired out of school. They had hired 12 other individuals, and their model was to hire from distributorships.
I gotcha.
So they were all like
somewhat
30.
experienced.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're 22, 30 sounds like, well,
I know.
yeah.
The old guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was very different because it was very autonomous. I mean, I was 22 years old. It was my first job, and I'm in a town with on my own to try to, learn the territory, get to know the accounts. You had to have a strong relationship with your distributors.
So were you going out there on your own too and doing sales calls?
So
how
myself all the time.
So how long before they actually just said, okay, you're ready to go on your own and start talking to people?
2 weeks. So I did 2 weeks of training.
Great training.
Yeah, in Lancaster, and was sent down there. And but it was, kind of lonely and isolating because I didn't know anyone.
It is. Most people think, the glamour of, out there selling and all that, but it's not as most people think. Sometimes you find yourself in the car, hotel by yourself, and you're like...
It was, I was before even all that, because like cell phones and all that, it was all new. I hate to date myself.
That's all good. I was on the pager before that. I used the quarters and, pay phone and the whole thing.
The calling card.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, jeez, yeah.
But a lot of, I was like road warrior, like all around, driving,
Really?
and I actually ended up, for something to do and to be social at night, I became an aerobics instructor and taught in the town in the evenings just for something
all right,
to do.
So how would you get that gig? You were in town and you go to this the gym or something and said, hey, I can help you with this.
I wanted to meet people because I didn't know anyone, and so I signed up and I would go, and they were asking, saying they needed instructors, and they're like, will you do it? I'm like, I'll do it.
So that was like a weekend thing, a one-day thing, like while you were...
I did it for as long as I lived there.
Really?
Yeah, I taught up to 7 classes a week.
Wow.
It was this franchise jazzercise.
Okay.
It was very big in the area, and
cool.
Yeah, but it got me out. I used to do this. I'd get mic'd up and go on a stage and perform. You had to do the whole thing.
She's an expert. I'm a rookie here. Standing to the expert here. So that's awesome. So now you are going through. How long were you there?
That was just a couple of years because I ended up getting engaged to my husband. We had met at Penn State. He wrestled at Penn State.
Okay, got it. So both two athletes, got it.
Yep, he was from a neighboring town. So I'm from Lancaster. He's from York. So it kind of made sense if we were going to. Right. Sort of path and life together, we'd be that direction. So
gotcha.
I hired and got a job with Armstrong Corporate in marketing. And I thought it was interesting. I had to interview with 5 different people for a company I already worked for. It was very intense. But
we're not too sure about her yet. Yeah.
But it was a good foundational background because I had done sales. I did marketing communications work. And when I went there, I took over also the special events and trade, so doing events like this.
So that's a good, and sorry, because I do this with my guests all the time, and you guys know I come back to it. So did you think it was easier being in sales and then marketing, or you think marketing should be first and then sales?
For me, the sales thing worked really well.
Really?
Because I knew the portfolio of products so well. And that was a key differentiator for me, and that ended up being multiple times a catalyst for moving me ahead in marketing because I knew the products, I knew the sales channels better.
Okay.
It was very natural for me. So the compliment back and forth has been consistent.
Really?
I did a lot of training for our customer service, and at that organization, you're talking 30, 40 plus people at a time. So I did all the, not all, but a lot of the launch.
Gotcha.
The product
New
launch.
product launches or whatever.
Yeah, what the sales tools were, what the sampling was. And then I took over, I did home centers, so like Lowe's, Home Depot.
Really?
Then
Also, you got some of the big brand,
Yeah,
big
so
box stores.
I was 20, I don't even know what, 6, and managing $25 million to spend. But it was good foundationally for me as I come then to KLS. I'm skipping a little. They're the only 2 places I've worked.
So you're not skipping.
No. So it's true.
You're in order.
But I was the first director of marketing when I originally came that they'd ever had.
Really?
And since I'd been exposed to a lot of sales channels and different outlets, I think it helped with the versatility to do it on my own. But it was different coming from a department of 40 to 1.
Right? It's like, hey, guy, I mean, you.
I just covered my office in mirrors, so I felt like,
right,
you know,
yeah, it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us. So do you see a difference, when you got into marketing so early on versus the way you see marketing nowadays, except for, we have all the platforms and all that, and it's easier sometimes to go about these things, but there's also a recipe that people should follow. So do you see a big difference between?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's much more fragmented, it's much more diverse, it's much more lifetime.
Correct.
And in many ways, it's more personal because there's just, the people are in it. It's like live content. I will say the other shift, though, is I've, at some point between the director of marketing and now, sales responsibility came back into the fold.
Gotcha.
So that is a big part of what I do. We have 2 divisions at Kalis.
Got it.
I'm with the bulk wire one. And, but, there's so much in numbers and forecasting. And,
correct.
So just, working with the business in that way. And it's fun. I do enjoy like how dynamic it is. It's interesting too, I think, working with a manufacturer because you are making something, like lifetime every day. You go out and you can see it happen.
It feels really good to see something that it's going to be used somewhere. And even when you go to those places and you see it being used and you go like, I know exactly how that was made or who made it and so on. So I know that feeling very well. Going into, because now you've been with Kalis for
14 years.
14 years. So one of the things that I was telling one of your, I'm going to call him colleague, Adam, which I was great, he was nice enough to be in Torchtales before, and he always said how cool of a person you are. And
maybe because I hired him, that could be
tomatoes. He still says that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I told him, I said, it's funny because she's been in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
And I've seen you in passing.
Yeah.
But we've never had a chance to say anything to each other except for like a show or 2 ago where, hey, hi, and all that. And so it's kind of like, do you consider yourself a introvert that needs to be an extroverted person when he needs to? And the reason why I ask that is because of what I'm saying, that for someone that's been in the industry for so long, and I've been in the industry for 13 years or so, and I think I travel a bit, and it's weird that I had never really run into you in other settings prior to a show or 2 ago.
Yeah, so I've been in this space since Kalis decided to kind of lead with the brand in the market. So on some level, but I will say, so it started in 2012, but at that point it would have been what I expected because I was doing like the brand identity, and just more establishing the selling tools.
Got it.
What's the communication hierarchy and the value proposition we're putting in the space. So my involvement, on this was more on that side.
A little bit more behind.
Yeah, well, and trying to learn how people were marketing kind of in this space. So at that time I was very much doing my role in this space was really twofold. One, project managing the market entry.
Got it.
And then also creating the brand identity and sales collateral to come into the space. So there was a team doing more of the Adam role that at that time. I started to take more ownership of the relationships, more like buying groups, bigger accounts. I'd say more like 2016.
More putting a face.
So that's
for
when
them.
I started. Yeah. So at that point, the pricing for all the things that went to me.
Yeah.
And then I became more of the face. At the same time, this is one market.
Of course,
that
one
we serve.
section of
So for my division, so there are other ones that I go to. So my time has always been kind of split.
Gotcha.
And we've always had another person. Adam.
Yeah.
James Roman on our team has done a lot in this space.
Yep.
So they have helped to kind of own that piece, and since I'd had some of the stuff, we could again work on some of the foundational stuff.
Because now I have seen you more and more, like lately in the last couple of years or so. Now I've seen you at more shows, which is a good thing because again, it's so important to build those relationships and people to feel that I know.
Especially in this space.
Exactly,
for sure.
it is relationship based.
I think, and since COVID, like I know but just this industry came back in a huge way. I mean, that's one thing. If I think about the different areas I spend my time in different markets I'm in, that's one thing that's definitely unique here.
Yeah.
It is very relationship driven, but the network is so strong, and the second, everyone had the ability to get back to it. I mean, this industry was, and I know this particular event that we're at right now.
Which we are at the GATA SMC 2024 San Antonio, and it's one of the big events. They have the regionals, the SMC, then the annual, and this happens to be here in San Antonio. And this is where we are.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I know I haven't heard since we haven't kicked off the meetings yet, but it's been year over year record attendance the last 3 years. So I mean, it's big numbers. That's
got to mean something.
Yeah. So you think? I mean, I know when we went to Nashville after it was over 600 attendees last year, in Philly over 700. I think they're expecting the same. So it definitely, people turn out. I've definitely seen in this time, people are making sure. When we entered, we would say, hey, listen, don't you want to have just a backup, for assured material availability, have an option, pick up the program, the service that works for you. We were trying to make it a freedom of choice. That was kind of the platform. And now what you see is people are like frantic. I have to have a backup vendor, or just so I know other people in my network. So
I think that's one of the things that COVID really taught everyone. It's like, you know what, I was relying on just these two, and then I got nothing on my shelves.
Right. So I definitely seen a call to action.
Yeah.
In that
That's
time.
a good way of putting it.
I thought the first year out at Nashville, I'm like, okay, well, that's because everyone's been cooped up. Everyone's ready to go. But
freedom.
But it's really
it's consistently been growing, and one thing is for you to hear it. Someone comes back to from the show and says, "Oh wow, it was great."
Right.
But when you attend and you see it, you go like, "Oh yeah, no, I see the difference. Definitely, there's an increase, and that's great to see, because if you're doing great in your section, that means that the industry as a whole is doing good. So it helps every one of us, from everyone coming to everyone doing good, whatever, even if it's the competition, it means that there's more out there for everyone.
There's just more industry. And
exactly.
I think, I give credit to, the distributors, the members of different, networks, and the agencies themselves, because they really do try to make the time purposeful, because we're all busy. We're all
correct. It takes money, your time. It's not easy especially for distributors to leave for 3-4 days when you know that they're going to get back to a desk full of every one of us. Same thing. So I totally get it. I was giving Adam a hard time the other day because he told me a little bit of the story that you and his wife, I think,
yes, Angie,
knew each other from college. Is that
high school?
High school.
Yeah, we were always very friendly competitors.
Got it.
So we
I like the way she methodically said that. So good. Yeah.
We ran track and competed in field hockey together, and I don't know why we always got along so well, but we did.
So the reason why, and you guys know how this is very organic, we just jump from one thing to the other, but that just came up in my head. And I was telling Adam, it's like, oh, now I see the reason why you got hired. It was because of your wife. It had nothing to do with you.
Well, it's not bad to have her along on trips, that's for sure.
I know.
But
just giving him a hard time.
So then it felt very natural that after being friendly competitors, we became teammates.
Wow.
So that just ended up. And we were the two girls from Lancaster, so we had that in common.
Yeah.
We are very connected still.
That's awesome.
We teased that I caught the bouquet at his wedding, which I absolutely did. We have the photo.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, well, the athlete.
Yeah. So just a touch of competitiveness, but
no, that's pretty cool. I'm glad to Adam and I have now known each other for a while, and I remember one time he approached me many years ago, and he goes, "Hey Frank, how come you and I just don't talk? Is it because I used to work for somebody else, a competition or whatever?" I'm like, no, it's just because I was waiting for you to break the ice.
Yeah.
And now it's nice to see, because he's good peeps. And now that you are in this industry for 14 plus years, and knowing this section, how you guys are working this section, what has been one of the biggest difference that, for example, Kalis has noticed in the last 5 years versus 14 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the thematic differences I see is the one I already said, which is just the necessity of having multiple sources and not being so dependent for single source.
Correct.
I mean, so as far as I definitely see that in other, again, markets channels as well, but specifically you're living it here because the trade is so strong. That's my second one. The relationship and connections, the buying groups, the different agencies. I mean, the network is just so strong. It's familiar. It's family. You know, like it's literally a knot. You know, like there's so many connections and layers to it. So I think that is a very unique theme to this space. And then I just think, as Kalis looks at it, it doesn't matter, you know, who you are and what you're doing. You always have to consider resources, right?
Of course.
There's always some level of choice, and everything can't be the priority.
Yep.
And I think within this market, we've definitely seen opportunity, and we've seen growth. And I talked about when we first kind of came into this space, you know, considering what the communication hierarchy, what the value proposition to the market was, and we talked about freedom of choice. I think now the platform we're on is you know, investing in growth, and that's a very real thing. Kalis itself is over 65 years old. We're on our 66th. Yeah. And it's exciting for people that have been there far longer than I have for 40 years or more. Yeah. We just commissioned a new CV, so that's one of the work centers that produce welding cable. So that machine alone can generate $40 million of cable a year.
Really?
So that's exciting. You know,
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, in a manufacturing environment to see that sort of an investment.
Of course.
And to watch, you know.
They're thinking long run. They're thinking we're going to be here and we want to compete and we want to be there.
Yeah, and I think just, you know, I give the credit to Jack, our president and CEO, because he saw the opportunity and, you know, in still the threat, uncertainty of COVID,
you never know.
Purchase order to get it.
Yeah.
And so now you know, that is fully commissioned, and we're looking, you know, at what else we need to do on the copper fabrication side. So it's an exciting time. I see, you know, the energy in it. And again, when you actually make something and you're investing in the
future of it, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I think that's internally got a lot of just, again, energy and attention kind of in this space.
So you mentioned this division for Kalis and this industry. So what other industry you guys are in?
We do a lot. Trucking is a big market for us. Marine is very big. Our other division.
All in the wire business, right? Just different wires, but
copper,
for those industries. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, things to power the starts, the light cable packages that go on trucks.
Gotcha.
So we have a lot of that. Flexible cord.
Okay.
Manufacture a lot of that. Ground cable, utility cable.
And where's the factory?
So we manufacture everything in Denver, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So say just, you know, not quite 90 minutes west of Philly.
Got it.
And about an hour north of Baltimore, maybe hour and a half north of Baltimore. So very accessible, easy to get to. Yeah. And we've been having a lot of plant tours. It's been fun. I think probably because of the new equipment, but
well, right. Let me show you my guns.
Yeah. I have never. It's been fun too because it's great. I love going out to customers, but it's fun to host.
Bring
everyone in too.
How many employees do you guys have?
About 500.
Oh wow, it's bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 500. We do that through direct and indirect labor, and about 250 million in sales.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. See, that's one of the things that most people, sometimes they see a logo, they see a company, and they don't quite know
what all comes behind
how big, how small, how it is. They sell wire. You know, that's all we know. Now, how many people report to you?
I don't know that I usually count.
Ooh.
Well, you know, again, we have some layers to it. So
okay.
We've got the sales team and account management team, our customer service, and then we have some great rep agencies we work with, which is why,
of course.
You know, so people like Adam and again James on our team manage some of those relationships. So in total, in the whole bulk sales marketing team, there's, you know, if I'm counting those groups, it's probably not quite 3 dozen.
Okay.
It's probably 6 direct reports and 12.
Gotcha.
You know,
indirect,
overall. But yeah.
All right. And how much travel do you do nowadays?
Quite a bit. I mean, It comes and goes.
Of course.
It's very closely aligned to the trade schedule in this space, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I would say spring and fall are a little busier.
Yeah.
But generally, I'd say it's probably 2 trips a month easily.
Has the family always been okay with you traveling? You know, when especially when you were younger and the kids were younger, was that a thing? You know, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
looking at the calendar, like, oh my God, I'm going to miss that game.
Yeah, of course. I'm missing a track meet tonight, so my husband was sending me video. But
gotcha.
I think, you know, with anything, you try to keep balance, right?
Of course.
We're fortunate. My husband's company is just a couple miles from our house, and he doesn't have the consistency of overnight travel.
Got it.
That helps. My mother lives a mile away,
Oh.
and Nana runs the show, so she's key to keeping everything on track.
Good job, Nana.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of Nana. But I'll say it's been kind of, since I've done the sales management piece in the last several years, it's definitely been more.
Yeah.
But you just try to plan and prepare the best you can. But the reality is, I mean, working parents know, you do it the best you can. You try to honor all your responsibilities.
You got to do what you got to do.
Right. But
especially with 4 kids.
Yeah.
You gotta.
It's busy. They prefer when, you know, I'm home to make dinner. They're pretty clear about that. But they also do like they get some of the benefits of me being traveled, you know, and helping them with things too. So they like when we get room upgrades because I've got good account status, that kind of thing.
I know, right? They're like, Mom, keep it up, Mom.
Right.
We like it. Do they ever travel with you? Do they go anywhere? Have they gone anywhere with you?
So my daughters we had an event in San Juan last June.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, and we were between volleyball tournaments, and I was like, look, I can't. So I started the volleyball tournament. I headed to Indianapolis for the annual convention. Back to Orlando, got the girls and volleyball uniforms and all. Off we went to Puerto Rico. Yeah, so they loved it. They're like, why are we doing more of this?
I know.
You know? But
Mom,
generally,
is this what you do for a living?
Yeah, right. Yeah, hanging out on the beach in Puerto Rico, sure. But generally, I'm going. What happens more is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
I'm going straight from this to Philadelphia to a volleyball tournament. So more, it's a lot of it, and it can get tricky.
Got it.
I had a stretch already in March where I had 10 straight days. A tournament in Raleigh. I was San Antonio for a trade show, and back to Philly for the older daughters volleyball. So it can get to be a lot.
Wow. So
it's a lot to pack.
I know, I get it. You know, so a lot of people say like, oh, you're always traveling. You're always like, you have no idea what it takes when you have a busy 2-3 months or first quarter, second quarter, and all you do is like clothes, laundry, next, clothes, laundry, next. And these ones are even a little bit more easier because at least you get to stay in the same hotel for 2-3 nights. Like conferences usually are easier.
It's great when it's wonderful when some of the different associations align that it's back to back and you can.
Yes, because when you're on the road and you got to spend a night on a single, different hotels every night.
Yeah.
That's, oh Lord, it sucks on every level.
And with the inconsistency of air travel now.
So. Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah.
Where would you like to see yourself in the next 5-10 years being in the industry? Where is the growth for you and the company?
So I think it'll become a balancing act. We've had just a surge, in my unscientific way of saying it, I call it the COVID sugar high, right? But we had this swell, and that's great, and everyone was great to kind of get that boost and feel the momentum build. But everything can't go up forever. Yeah. It created a lot of chaos.
I know.
Along the way, and I think what I'm hopeful to see is moving into a phase of kind of measured growth, and having learned from the peaks and valleys of the season we've just lived through, when you have to make choices.
If we haven't.
Yeah. I think, though, it gives you the chance to kind of look back and refine who the right partners are for you.
That's true.
What you're good at, what works in your wheelhouse.
And what didn't work, which is even more important.
So I think that the freedom to kind of make those decisions and refine along the way is where some of the power is. Cool. So I look forward to, I can feel that building. And then the team. I just, we have a lot I And
the way it should be.
Yeah, and it has to be. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing?
I know.
So, so I feel I get a lot of energy. I get a lot of, I think, personal fulfillment from working with the team. Just at
Yes, Adam, you're in that team too.
He is. Yeah. He's definitely a part of it. So that is a big motivator. You know, the group at Kalis overall is a very loyal, tenured bunch.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I think when you manufacture and you see it, we were motivated to stay in the offices.
Yeah.
Like we work with a lot of flexibility
Correct,
now.
yes.
But I think when you appreciate, without those operators, without the guys
you know
and
that
women on the floor,
what they make it happen.
They make it happen.
It's not a solo trip. Yeah.
And you know, this piece, the travel and engagement, is important.
It is.
But there's a lot of layers of support too,
Yep.
right? So I think that's another thing I'm motivated to kind of build upon. I think.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, before he gets jealous, James. Hi. You know,
He's on his way. So,
I know.
yeah.
Just don't think I don't remember you. Lastly,
Yes.
when you're not traveling and when you're not running,
Yeah.
what else do you do just for you, for fun, to detach, disconnect? Like, who is Kym in her own personal?
Well, you already mentioned
likes?
two things that are, you know, definitely on the list. I do enjoy travel and I do enjoy running, so
Yeah.
I can't even talk about it much without those two things. But I really do. I am, you know, anyone who knows me, I mean, it's nearly every week I've got people at the house. I love
So
to
you like
host.
entertaining? Got it.
I love to cook.
Oh, really?
I love to cook. Yeah.
So what's your go-to meal? The one that you know that you have it down packed and like that's the
I've got,
one.
with 4 kids, I have 4 teenagers. I got way more than one.
Okay, I'll give you 2. Give me 2.
I'll answer the question with my most requested.
Okay, there you go.
And,
Fair.
My husband's family is Italian, so my kids have that bloodline. I am not, but
Okay.
they really like Italian food. So I would say chicken parm. That is likely the most number one requested.
Okay.
And they really like cutlets. They like me to make I make my sauce. So
Oh.
I make a vodka sauce. I'll make a regular one, but I can do other things.
Nice.
Italian tends to be
Cool.
high on the request list.
Wow, there you go, impressive. And lastly,
Yes.
your favorite drink?
Well, I mean,
What
if I'm
kind of-
picking only one, it would it would be a lemon drop martini.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And the second? Since you said
I
if
like
I'm picking
champagne
one.
a lot too.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Girl
cool.
answers. Adam probably said beer, right?
Well, you know,
Old fashioned. These I know.
That's me. Yeah, we talk about a lot about old fashions. Well, Kym, thank you so much for saying yes to this half hour.
Thanks for having me.
It's been an honor.
Pleasure. Yes.
It's just sharing and letting people know that there's so many other avenues in this welding industry and so many other perspectives. You know, because I had Adam, now I have Kym. Both work for the same company, and they see things differently, and they'll talk about their company differently. So I hope you guys keep learning a little bit about what it takes to be in the welding industry, and every one of us that somehow bring our little grain to help what this is and what has become. So thank you so much. Thank you again, Kym.
Thank you.
It's an honor. And guys, I hope you guys keep watching, keep supporting Torchtales, this is what's all about, learning the path and journey of everyone in the industry. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Take care.